everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mila, you're at my book nook, and today we're doing a January and February reading wrap up because I don't read enough in like every single month, so I sometimes have to like combine stuff, and I've seen that people like are doing that a lot more frequently. At least the people that I've recently started to follow, they're like starting to sort of combine stuff. So I don't read enough every single month to do a singular monthly wrap up. I wish I did, but sometimes you read one book, sometimes you read two, sometimes you read five in the shortest month of the year, which is exactly what happened this year for some reason. So I was determined at the beginning of the year because I realized that every January, except I think 2022, I had read one book in January, and that's in line with sort of January being a weird month for me, and it being the new year and me trying to find the right book to start off, the year with a bang. And yeah, so I was determined to beat that curse, so to speak, and I did. I read two books, which I'm fairly proud of. So the first book that I read and then in February I read 5 books, which is February is the shortest month of the year, so yeah, I don't know what switched in like my brain, but something clicked and I read 5 books. So we will get into those a little bit later, but we're going to talk about the January read. So I don't know where my copy of the book that I read in January is. I genuinely do not. I cannot tell you where the heck it is because it does not seem to be on my shelves. I'm gonna find it after I finish filming this video. Swear to God. Because it's not there. And it's not in any of my bags because I read it ages ago and I can't find it. Don't know where it is. Anyways, I'll find it eventually. So the first book that I read is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now this is a book that so many people... Very nice. This is a book that so many people have been trying to get me to read for years. Ever since they find out that I'm a big reader, ever since that they find out that I'm very good with words, I guess, and that I was good in English class and stuff, and I took English literature in grade 12. No, it was grade 11. I was in grade 11, it was a grade 12 course. Anyways, and I'm just trying to get comfortable here. Me and the one English teacher, we were tight like this. Anyways, so if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Pride and Prejudice is Jane Austen's most popular novel. She's written Northanger Abbey, she's written Mansfield Park, she's written Sense and Sensibility, I'm probably forgetting a couple others. She's written Emma, I believe. But yeah, so Pride and Prejudice follows our main character, Elizabeth Bennet, who is the second oldest of 5 sisters. And the Bennet family isn't particularly rich, but, they have maids and stuff like that. But they are, the girls have to be married. The girls have to be married off well so that the parents don't, stress about it after they die. And because of patriarchy at the time, because Mr. Bennet did not have any sons, after his death, his house will go to a distant cousin of his, Mr. Collins. Now, we don't, I think, know Mr. Collins's first name, so he's just always Mr. Collins. And that's a common theme. We don't know Mr. and Mrs. Bennet's first names. We do know a little bit of their backstory, but other than that, we know Mr. Darcy's first name. I don't think we know... Do we know Mr. Bingley's? But anyways, so... we have the sisters and a few other people whose first names we know, obviously. But other than that, most of it is Mr. and Mrs. and so forth. And so on and so forth. So I read this one because I made a deal with my friend, Divvy, that if I read Pride and Prejudice, she will start Lord of the Rings. Because she's been wanting to read Lord of the Rings for a very long time. And I knew that she would love it. But... she was hesitating, and because it's long and she didn't have time, I was okay, I read Pride and Prejudice, you read Lord of the Rings. And I finished Pride and Prejudice, and I believe she's still reading Lord of the Rings. We would send her updates and stuff, and I do have a reading vlog for the 2 books that I read in January, so if you want to check that out, I will link that down below. And Pride and Prejudice was such a delight. I absolutely loved it, to the point where I didn't get another Jane Austen book. That's on pause for now, but I did get a book that is said to be inspired by Pride and Prejudice, but more in a slightly more modern context, meaning it was written after Pride and Prejudice, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I'm really hoping to get to this at some point. It's not particularly long, and I'm really excited for this. And my friend Helen, she's one of my best friends. I love her to death. She definitely recommended this one for me. She said it's one of her favorites. So Elizabeth Gaskell is super popular as well. And Richard Armitage plays John Thornton. And that's all I need to know. If you told me that man plays the love interest in the BBC show, that's all I needed to know. Anyways, Pride and Prejudice was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars. I annotated it a little bit. I don't know where my copy is. This is kind of bothering me now, actually. But I really, really enjoyed it, so that was 5 stars. The book that I managed to start and finish before the end of January was Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. Now this is a retelling of the story of Koshay the Deathless, which is the most popular Russian folklore / fairy tale. And in this case, this is set against the backdrop of the 20th century. So pre-October Revolution, so to speak, and Soviet Union, and sort of a little bit after that, I guess. Well, it doesn't chronicle the fall of the Soviet Union, but it's like the later years as well, so to speak. And, well, the later years of, like, the war, I believe, of World War II. Like, I think it finishes before, like, the war ends. Anyways, so this follows our main character, Maria Morevna, who is taken by Koshay the Deathless. And, as I said, this is a retelling of Koshay the Deathless. I'm not going to go too far into it, but watch my reading vlog for that. But basically, again, this is set against the backdrop of 20th century Russia. And it delves a little bit into sort of the politics, the history and stuff, as well as having like fairy tale and folkloric elements. A lot of it like overlaps, like magic goes into the real world and sort of real world influences the magic. And Deathless, Koshay basically takes Maria Morevna and he brings her to the Isle of Buyan, which is the island of life, the country of life, and Koshay is also the Tsar of life. And there's a whole thing, and it's a really interesting take on the story of Koshay the Deathless. This is an insanely unique novel, and I really loved it. It felt like a true love story to Russia and its people and its stories, and less so its history, so to speak, but its culture, its stories, its people, its heart, which is the people in the stories. And I would highly recommend this one. There's probably a shit ton of trigger warnings I should warn you about. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but the relationship between Koshay and Maria Morevna isn't healthy, and that's to put it simply. So that is Deathless, 5 stars. Highly, highly recommend. The next book I have is, I don't have a copy of it because I actually borrowed it from my university library, and I read it quite quickly. It is Ice Fields by Thomas Wharton, and I apologize for the lighting as well. The sun is going down. And I was filming this video earlier and my phone overheated, so I'm just trying my best to make sure that it doesn't overheat again. So, Ice Fields follows the main character whose name I forget, and he like gets trapped between like an ice crevice, so to speak, and he nearly dies. And this sort of experience, what he saw that day before he sort of lost consciousness, haunts him and brings him back to that area, the Canadian Rockies, Alberta, over and over and over and over and over again. And I think all of Canada is absolutely stunning. It is such a stunning country. There is not, I think, an ugly spot in terms of nature. I don't think nature is ever ugly. It can be gross sometimes, but I don't think it's ever ugly. Nature in itself is beautiful, and this was such a beautiful story. Such an interesting story. I like the sort of field guide vibe to it. I thought it was really interesting. So if you like things that are set in like the Arctic, in cold places, I'm not good with the cold, but I realized that I really like books set in cold places, and I really, really love this one. I believe I gave it a 4.75. I'm not super well read in terms of like literary historical fiction, so to speak. Like, I read my fair share of World War II novels, so to speak, and stuff, but in terms of like, I guess, more recent novels and stuff, and set in Canada especially. I don't read a lot of books set in Canada, but that one was very, very good. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was such an interesting novel, and very happy to have read it. And thank you to Emma, who is another booktuber who I very much love. She's Canadian, and she said that she loved this book, and I took that to heart. So that one was 4.75 stars. The next book I read is Blood Over Bright Haven by Emily Wong. This was 5 stars. At first it was like gonna be like 4.75 stars, and then I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning finishing it, and I had to get up at like 8 o'clock the next day, and that should say enough. That's when it became a 5 star. And not gonna lie, I felt like I was a little bit delirious reading like the last, I want to say 40%. Like I read a lot of it. And again, in a vlog. I have a vlog for it. But this was so fantastic. I think Emma Wong did such a good job. And Sayona was such an interesting character. And definitely not super likable. Like, I don't think you're supposed to love her to bits. But I thought she was such an interesting character. I thought this is how you write ambitious women. And you paint them in a not always savior light in a way, so she's not exactly an antagonist. She's more of like, I don't even want to say anti-hero, but you know, she's very much like Rin from the Poppy War, and this is very much comped as Babel meets something else probably. I can't think off the top of my head, but I think that Sayona is very, very similar to Rin. I haven't finished Babel, nor have I finished The Burning God. It's like hanging over my head like a looming shadow, but yeah, so I really, really enjoyed that one. I thought it was really fun and really interesting and a really good book, really well written, and she definitely did something interesting with the world that she created. So would highly recommend. 5 stars. Blood Over Bright Haven by Emma Wong. I didn't really tell you what this is about, but I feel like the less you know, the better it is. Just read the prologue, you know. Just read that, and I think you'll thank me later. The next 3 books I read were back-to-back romances, and I did a romance vlog for this. And one of my goals for this year was to step out of my comfort zone. And happy to report that I did very much step out of my comfort zone, so much so that I entered a reading slump. So one of my goals was to step out of my comfort zone in 4 genres: literary fiction, or contemporary fiction, I guess, romance, mystery, and science fiction. So for like literary fiction, I think I said contemporary fiction at first, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be literary fiction from now on. I am counting Icefield for that. And as for romance, I read 3 books back to back. So I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I believe I gave this 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. I understand why Emily Henry has like a cult following now. I don't know if I'll read her other books, but I definitely really enjoyed that one. Then I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Unfortunately, this was before I found out that she wrote some very, very strange things in her newest novel that people have gotten an arc of. So I'm a little bit skeptical now, but I really did enjoy this one. That doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the book. I'm still going to mention it as someone who doesn't read romance, because I feel like it's important to mention my experiences with certain things, as well as say, caveat, she's, I don't know, is she Zionist? I don't know. It's so tiring at this point. Like, how difficult is it to be just a good person and to choose the right side of history? But anyways, I really enjoyed Yours Truly, 5 stars, and then I read Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. And these are, so I believe Book Lovers was from Lexi, aka Newly Nova. I love her videos. She speaks at the perfect pace, and she's really funny, and she's really great. And she recommended Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I wasn't sure with which Emily Henry to start with. I knew I wanted to read one of them. I just wasn't sure which one. And Book Lovers was definitely the correct choice because I really enjoyed that one. And then Yours Truly as well as Snowed In were recommendations from Carrie from her romance ranking video. And she put those up really high, and she said she really loved Snowed In. She really enjoyed Yours Truly. And she said the anxiety rep was very well done in Yours Truly. And as someone who, I mean, I'm not diagnosed, but I think I do suffer from proportionate level of anxiety to a certain extent. it was very, very well done. Although, you know, it's sort of, I related to the love interest whose name I have forgotten off the top of my head. It's been a minute, you know, that I haven't really thought about these characters, but he sort of works in a front-facing position, like he's a doctor as well, so he speaks to the patients and stuff, and I work in a customer service job, like I work at a library, so like, you know, talking to people, like, yeah, I do have anxiety, but like, it's sort of gone once you start talking to people, once you start getting to the groove, so I definitely related to him, and the letters thing was so cute. So, sorry, I didn't tell you what this one was about. Book Lovers follows Nora, who's a publicist, she's like an agent and stuff, and she bumps into person Charlie? No, that doesn't sound like the right name. But anyway, she bumps into like her publicist rival, I guess, and she had just gotten dumped before like her meeting with him, her lunch with him, and so she was late. And the thing is I got dumped a couple months ago via phone after I came home from work. So it felt eerily similar, and then from that point forward, it sort of changes, like her and her sister go to this town and they try to sort of fulfill a bunch of like romantic tropes, like save the town, save this, pull off a big ball, all that fun stuff. And thus sort of develops into the sort of relationship between her and the male love interest, whose name I have forgotten at the present moment. I apologize. But yeah, so that one was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was truly a blast. And then Yours Truly is about our main character, whose name is Brianna, I believe, and she's a doctor, and her brother is like in pancreatic failure, and like he's on dialysis or whatever it's called, and she sort of like runs into her love interest, whose name I've forgotten off the top of my head. Adam? Is it Adam? I think it's Adam. And he bumps into her, and he's sort of starstruck because he thinks that she's like insanely gorgeous, and Brianna has quite a bit of relationship related trauma and stuff, so you know, she's like, I don't know if she's divorced, or I believe she's divorced. Yes, she's divorced. And Adam, after finding out, oh my god, is his name Adam? I don't remember, but the love interest, after finding out that her brother cannot get a kidney, decides to anonymously donate his kidney. It does not go down anonymously. Brianna finds out, and then they start a sort of fake dating situation. And I realized I really love the fake dating trope. I don't know what that says about me psychologically and on a relationship level, but I really love the fake dating trope. I don't know what it is about that. But they start fake dating, and Adam's family is very, very nosy. And, you know, Brianna doesn't have much. It's just her mom and her brother, and it's still family, you know, and it's just so lovely. And there was a section where, instead of talking to her, Adam writes letters. This is going to be so embarrassing if the name is completely wrong. I so apologize for that. I actually don't remember the man's name, but I really enjoyed this book. I gave this 5 stars. So really enjoyed this book. It was really fun. I also finished this at 1 a.m. in the morning, so 5 stars. And so he writes a letter to Brianna, and instead of like being like, oh, why'd you write me a letter, you know, sort of being like in his face, she understands that he's like a bit anxious and he's an introvert, and so she writes him a letter back, and there's a moment where, you know, they write letters to each other, and it's so cute. It's so cute. It's so stinking cute. I'm just like, this is the cutest shit I've ever read. And then, you know, it sort of devolves into real dating, real feelings, real complicated feelings, real complicated situations, real good and bad decisions, and Brianna sort of, I don't think she fully overcomes her trauma, because how do you overcome the trauma that she's gone through? But I think that Adam, with him by her side, this is going to be really embarrassing if I get the names wrong. With the man by her side, I think that she got stronger, and to a certain extent she has overcome a big part of her trauma. Like, obviously it's still going to be there at the back of my mind, but happy ending, happily ever after. This was so stinking cute, and I would highly recommend. Yeah. And the last one I read is Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. This one follows our main character, whose name I've forgotten. Oh my god, I keep forgetting the names! This is really pissing me off. Oh my god, would I be able to, like, I keep forgetting the names. This is so embarrassing. Hold on. Node in Catherine Walsh. Okay. That doesn't give me anything. Can you please tell me what the names are? Okay, so we have Megan and we have Christian. So Megan is someone who ran away from her soon-to-be husband at the altar. She left him at the altar, and Christian and her actually bump into each other as she's leaving the hotel. And as she's leaving like the area. And she runs away and she just leaves. She doesn't tell anyone what actually happened. And then years later, she comes back to her tiny town in Ireland, I want to say, because she was in Dublin, I believe. And her and Christian bump into each other in a Dublin pub, and they decide to start fake dating because her mom is on her ass about like dating and stuff, and Christian's parents are on his ass about dating, and he's like, I have a girlfriend actually, and they're like, oh, bring her over, bring her here, you know, bring her, we want to meet her. And you know, it turns out to be the social pariah, basically. Sorry, my phone is like being stupid. This is gonna snap, what the hell. Anyways, you know, stuff devolves and the truth comes out, and at one point Christian's brother wants to propose to his girlfriend at a cabin in the woods, and they go to check the cabin in the woods and all that stuff, and then the girlfriend's like, actually, I don't want to go to a cabin in the woods to be proposed to. I don't want to go to a cabin in the woods, period. And they're like, okay, you guys can take it. And then they get snowed in, which is where the title comes in. They get stuck. They're stuck in this cabin and all that fun stuff, and things that go from there. And yeah, it's very cute. It's very fun. It's so sweet. I rated this 4.75 stars. Okay, I think I rated Book Lovers 4.5 stars, and I rated Snowden 4.75 stars. So it goes Book Lovers, like from the top, it goes yours truly, Snowden, and Book Lovers, which I feel like if the Emily Henry purists come into my comment, I'm scared of you guys. Please be nice. Please be nice. But yeah, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings. Let me know what you read in the past 2 months. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what you thought of them. Let me know if you want to pick up any of these. I know that I didn't really give very good explanations because I forgot half of the love interests, but they're all solid reading months. February was definitely a very good reading month, and I'm just hoping that the rest of the year goes just as well. And yeah, very excited for what the rest of the year will bring. So I will see you in the next one. And follow me on all my socials as usual. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my vlogs for all these books, because I do have vlogs for all of them, I believe. Yeah, all of them have vlogs. All of them are in vlogs. So I'll let you know which ones are in vlogs and stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Happy reading.